Yes, Deirdre here once again. Finally, thank Christ for that. You have been listening to Sullivan's Suits. He's finally got off and I finally got my time. Thank you very much. Okay, this is another episode of the DJ Deidre show here on www.sohoradiolondon.com. What we got coming up tonight? Well, I'll tell you what we've got coming up tonight. I'm going to be playing music from around 1967 to 1969. Why specifically am I playing music from those years? I'll tell you why. It's because coming in to have a chat about the Soho scene of the late 60s and, in fact, just about the general soul business, band business from back in the day. We've got the Village Green Band. Yes, they're whooping themselves up back there. Who used to not only do their own gigs under their own name, of course, but also back a lot of the American black artists that came over. The likes of Garnet Mimms, the Impressions, Clyde Mcphater, Clem Curtis, etc., etc., etc. So they're going to be giving me a few stories about what it was like back in the day in Soho at clubs like the Pink Flamingo and Whisky-a-go-go, and also some of the antics they got up to. Look forward to that. First off, though, I'm just going to play a few tunes and warm myself up, and then we'll get them in here and have a bit of a chat. I'm going to kick off with the Massmen and the Agents, and I suppose, what do you call it? Novelty soul, I suppose. This is a 45 that came out of Washington, D.C. around 1968. And Massmen and the Agents, the lead singer used to go on stage and he had a mask on, obviously. He was the Massmen, or Massman. And they used to do Spy Beat, I suppose it was, really. But they also did a couple of slightly shit novelty records. And this is one of them. But it is quite funky. So it's vinyl, I'm telling you. All right, whilst I put that away, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the studio the Village Green. Say hello, guys.
Hello there.
I've got at least. There we go. Perhaps nice.
At the end of the other one.
Oh, somebody help me get rid of this. So you get to join me today?
Yeah, a bit more.
It's a welcome.
I didn't realise that the front of the studio here was sort of open. I'm worried about wizened old ladies turning up demanding money for their children.
I think you're just only hoping.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I am as well.
Late maintenance payments.
I think they've all just figured you guys are all well done and past it and like buried in the ground by now, aren't they?
Yeah,
That's fair enough. Fair comment.
Yeah. If you heard the recent offerings of music, you'd probably agree. Yeah. But,
Charming.
You have.
So we were sat in the pub just talking about, you know, what we were going to talk about on the show earlier. And if I could just put a little bit of background into it, that you guys, not only as a band yourselves that used to tour the country in the late 60s, basically as a sort of soul band, I presume.
Yeah.
Like the sort of numbers you would do without, you know, not as a backing band, but as yourselves, were what, hits of the day? Or your own stuff, or a combination of the both.
It was all basically the soul stuff it was about at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a nine-piece band.
Yeah. And basically playing black music.
Yeah. Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding, all the in stuff at the time. You know?
Yeah.
Alfie was an 8-piece.
8-piece was it?
No, we were 11.
We were 11 at one stage.
You see, it
I
changed.
can remember
changed
16
gig by,
on stage at one time.
probably depending how much the promoter was paying at that particular point, did it?
When we was doing the National and Soho sort of down in London, we was an 8-piece.
Right.
Right, you know, sort of.
Yeah, because you wanted all the money for yourselves.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
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 We get paid.
I was going to say it didn't supplement your digs in any way, shape, or form, did it?
What are they?
You've not allowed for Ben in there. I allowed Ben because Ben needs a mention today. See, he was our roadie. He was
Right.
very much part of the band.
Yeah. I should introduce everyone. We've got Steve. We've got Pickles. Steve was the trumpet. Pickles was manager. Alf was vocals. Higgy, was lead guitar, and Tom was saxophone. Yeah. What happened to the rest of the band? Are they all?
Well, my brother Chris was trombonist. He's not with us tonight. He's painting his doors or something equally important.
Yeah. He's probably got the long straw there.
Terry Allred up in Hemsby.
Yeah.
Is
He was bass player.
I don't know what he's doing. Creosote in his boat.
Yeah.
And Trevor, unfortunately, is no longer with us.
Is he the
God
drummer?
rest his soul.
No.
He used to be the keyboard player.
Right. Who was the drummer?
Joe from Haverhill.
Yeah.
He's in prison at the moment.
Is he?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you know.
He's a warden.
I was going to say 3 meals a day. You can't go wrong. But he probably gets that as well, doesn't he? And he gets to go out at the end of the day. So you were gigging all around the country, but also you were backing a lot of the American guys that were coming over, black soul artists, the likes of the Topics, the Impressions, Garnet Mimms,
Clyde Mcphater from the Drifters.
Indeed, and Clem Curtis, of course.
Yeah,
and a bricklayer from Ipswich.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a story there. Were you fishing a line there, Tom? Yeah. Is that the story you want to tell?
No, you tell the story.
No, I don't know the story. You go ahead, mate.
No, well, we were kind of... We came up from Suffolk to back some American artists and stuff, and we were taken on by a Roy Tempest, who was an impresario
at the time,
allegedly of...
Is that sort of rip-off merchant?
That's
Is that the other way of
yeah,
putting it?
you know him, but all right.
No, we weren't sure what we were to do, but we had to pick this guy up in Ipswich, who was a bricklayer, but we had to audition to be a backing band, and he had to audition to be William Bell, but he didn't make it.
Wow. And actually, there's a running theme here, isn't there? Because you were, quite a lot of the time, you were asked to be people that you actually weren't.
Quite often, yes. Yeah, if somebody couldn't make it, yeah, you'll have to go out as them.
Yeah,
It's all right.
a load of white, a load of white guys from Suffolk.
Playing black soul artists.
Yeah,
that was down to Roy Tempest.
that
Yes.
was it.
Allegedly.
Right, yeah.
Allegedly.
You want to watch it? He might be coming after you.
Yeah.
If there's anything he liked years ago, he won't find his way here.
Okay, fair enough. But also on the same vein of things, you said you had a lot of guys that used to turn up expecting a certain artist, and they'd be at the front of the stage, and they'd have an LP there with the faces on there, and they're like pointing at you and then pointing at the front cover, going, something doesn't quite match here.
Yeah, quite often.
We did a tour with the allegedly Impressions. We did about 4 gigs of the 12-13 gig tour, and on about the 4th one, which from memory was at the Civic Hall in Dunstable, we were doing halfway through the act, and the sort of crowd were all standing at the front looking at their record covers they bought to be autographed, and we suddenly realised that the people who were singing didn't look anything like the pictures on their LP.
No, absolutely, yeah.
That caused a bit of a stir.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. But the show must go on, didn't it?
We didn't know. We didn't know at the time. We thought they were.
Yeah. We hadn't got LP covers to compare them with.
Oh right, so it's not that they were comparing it to you. It was like you did have a load of black guys there singing. It's just that they weren't the people that they were supposed to be.
Yeah, but having said they were actually a band from America called the Topics, and I have to say they were absolutely superb.
Right.
Great band.
Yeah, great band.
They did go on to have success as the Topics actually in America rather than over here.
Right.
We did get 5 pages in the Sunday national papers over it, didn't we?
Yeah.
There was an expose in the Sunday People.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, you weren't naked or
No,
doing
nothing
anything
like that.
untoward.
Not that time, no.
Not that time. That was page 3 of the Sun.
Yeah. Get the old moobs out. Getting back to Soho a bit, of course, you were playing at places like the Whisky-a-go-go and the Pink Flamingo and Hatchets Club. What was the scene like there? Because I know, having done a bit of research and talking to Steve, that the Pink Flamingo was a predominantly black club.
Yes.
And I've read a few things on the internet where people would walk past if they were white, sort of mod types and that, and the black guys would like give them a little bit of grief and all the rest of it. Or someone would go in and buy their drugs, the Dexys and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and
there was lots of that went on.
Yeah.
But,
how do you know?
I was outside selling it. No, I never actually saw any real trouble at the club.
We sometimes
I
didn't
went
get...
to the loo one night and I got kicked by this big black guy, and I was going to tell him off, but I thought about Robert.
Yeah, we would. You were only about 12 at the time, weren't you?
Yeah, how old were you, Steve, at the point you were doing that?
About 16.
About 16.
It was heavy, and there were some heavy blokes down there.
And you were one of the youngest of the group at that
Yeah,
point?
I was the youngest.
You were.
And I was only in the group because I was good looking.
Yeah.
We got him straight from school.
And you owned a trumpet, did you?
And I got a trumpet, yeah.
Yeah.
I polished it now and again.
Yeah, I'm sure you
What I could
did.
do with it.
Yeah. I've heard, that's another story, isn't it?
With a case.
Sounded better if you left it in the case.
But,
but there you go.
For people that don't know Soho from that time, obviously the Pink Flamingo and Whisky-a-go-go is now the O'Neill's pub on Lower Wardour Street. You went downstairs to the Pink Flamingo, you went upstairs to the Whisky-a-go-go, which turned into the Wag Club in the 80s and had a big mod revival in the 90s. For those people that might remember some of those days, such as myself. But what were the gigs like? I mean, having again looking at research of downstairs at the Pink Flamingo, you had a lot of artists, but also people get and it goes straight to the Pink Flamingo just to hang out with whoever was down there. There were people like Dion Warwick in the audience, just bopping away.
You
And
never know who would turn up there.
No.
But, it was always packed.
Yeah, all the gigs we did in the Pink Flamingo and the Whiskey were always, as Higgy's already said, they were packed, and we used to get really good reception. To me, they were all great gigs.
Yeah.
We never really had any trouble, did we? We used to have
Apart from Steve getting a
apart from Steve,
He
pretty boy.
I did
He
stand on
probably
his foot.
We won't mention.
There you go.
We won't mention how long that was. Yeah. Oh man.
I'm telling you.
But, when the American artists came over, we used to rehearse with them in the Whisky-a-go-go before we went out.
Yeah.
And to be honest, they all sang, apart from maybe if they got one or two big hits of their own, they all sang the same numbers.
Right.
We were doing so.
You don't know like I know and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was basically, how many? 2 verses, chorus, 2 verses, yeah, fine. Key, G, that's fine. Yeah, that one's sorted. And
We'd have about half an hour.
about half an hour
before
an hour
we
at the
went out
most.
on the road.
Right.
And then we'd head from there to Liverpool to do 2 gigs with them that night.
And what were you travelling in?
Luxury.
A furniture lorry.
I can imagine that is 100% bullshit right there.
Yeah.
It was a 2-ton Austin box van.
Of course it was.
Yeah, it was all right. It
Yeah.
wasn't bad, was it?
It was fine.
Nice.
It's
It
better,
was-
better
it was
than the
like-
old.
So when it
Hatchets.
rained,
It was in the company colours. It was green.
Yeah.
It must have been a bloody long old trip at that point to travel from London to Liverpool for, and even further than that, I should imagine, weren't
Yeah,
you?
but we were so crazy. It was just laughter all the time. We never stopped. you
Yeah,
know?
we
yeah.
entertained ourselves on the way.
Did you
Yeah.
now?
And everybody else.
Yeah, and anybody driving past or up
Yeah.
behind us. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just.
I've heard
nuts.
some stories of busking out the windows and or just stopping to earn a few quid and
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 go-go dancers with us at one time. Janice Keeble, and I can't think what the other one was called. She was very small. We used to call her the Red Cross parcel.
And you gave their knickers away.
Yeah, Tom did. We were driving down the motorway, and they had all these frilly knickers and stuff they used to wear on stage. And
I didn't wear
Tom,
frilly knickers.
you didn't. No, the 2 girls. And he was handing them out to people in sports cars as they went past.
Wow.
You know. But they got the gig and had nothing to wear, which was even more interesting.
I can well imagine, yeah. Wow. Okay, I'm going to play a couple more records, then we'll be back with you guys. You're listening to the Village Green Band, and this is DJ Deidre live on www.sohoradiolondon.com. All right, what am I playing now? Oh yeah, here we go. This is one for Steve. If I can find it. No, it's not that one. All right, this is another novelty funk soul 45. This one's from 1969. It's on the Pizzazz label. And this is by a guy called Good Time Charlie. Hell of a name. And here it comes. It's called Rover or Me. And I think you'll understand what it's all about as soon as I stick it on. Then we should chat about the nonsense that went on in Soho in the late 60s again with the Village Green. Let's put that down there. Get you guys back on the mic. Look at that. See, pro all the way.
All the way.
We're back, are we?
No messing about. You're back.
We're back.
With a
What is this
vengeance.
thing about nonsense?
What nonsense?
Nonsense.
Or should we talk maybe about the
Nonsense.
air duct that went into the Pink
Yeah,
Flamingo?
come on, let's hear it.
I mean, this place was down in a cellar. It was packed solid, and it must have been in the days before air conditioning. But there was a huge air duct that ran right the way across the club, and terminated at its largest inside the dressing room at the back. But one of us, hello Tom,
Oh, well.
decided one day to pull the grill off the front of it inside the dressing room and see what was down there. So he vanished down this long black hole, and all of a sudden there was a huge crash, and the whole lot came down in the middle of the audience dance floor, whatever. And luckily there were no audience in. We were just setting up ready to go for when the doors opened.
But someone came and was it the manager came?
Yeah, the manager came over and said, "What on earth happened?" And Tom said,
I
"I've got no idea."
I scrabbled out of the debris, all the rat poison, and the dust and the filth, and he came running in because there was an enormous clatter, and I got up, I stood up, and he said, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know, it just fell down."
But you do like a bit of a climb, don't you, Tom? I've got a feeling I heard someone talk about you
I think
climbing out of the back of a van on the M1 all the way up the.
I think that's my story, isn't it?
Is that?
Yeah, you
Come on
take
then,
that one
Pickles.
Yeah,
Come on then, chuck it out.
Me and dear old Trevor used to do all the driving. Being the only ones who were probably over 18, but we used to do the driving and driving up the M1 one day, and suddenly 2 feet appear over the cab at the front of the windscreen of the van, and Tommy's only climbed out the back of the van across the top, and we're sitting on the cab at the front as we're going up the M1 motorway at about 70 miles an hour.
So,
Oh dear.
Did that truck do 70?
But then
Right, yeah.
that wasn't that unusual for Tom, really.
No, yeah,
He had a thing for heights and different things.
I've heard stories. Yeah.
As is his other escapade of climbing to the top of the floodlights at
Well-
Nottingham Forest football ground when we were playing at the club nearby. That's
Oh, we
another
all-
story.
No,
We all had to risk it, you know, because like you're on a motorway and it's a box wagon, and then the cab is separate, and there was no communication between the back of the van and the cab.
right.
So like if you want to take a leak, the only thing you could do, we've got a
Hammer it down.
tailboard on the van. You had to hang over the tailboard, and one of the other members of the band would hang on to you, and there was a number plate bit, a little square bit where the number plate was, and you stand on that and have a piss as you're going up the motorway. Lucky there's no old bill around in those days.
No,
you know,
exactly.
then you get dragged back in again because there's nowhere they stop for you.
No.
You know.
no.
That was
Tommy-
quite airy. You
Tommy
know.
used to have those size 12 trainers on, and he used to hang over the back, hang onto the tailboard, and run like his feet were about an inch off the road. And you used to see all the cars coming by, and everybody would be laughing. And if they him sit there with a bleeding trilby on with a windmill on the top.
Oh well, see, this is the usual touring band business, isn't it? Is that you find things to amuse yourself.
Really.
You find things to amuse yourself with because of the massive amount of boredom that's involved with the travel, isn't
Lighting farts.
it?
Oh yeah, he's good at that.
I mean, you know, how old were you?
Oh no, I won't.
Old enough to fart, but not old enough to buy matches.
There you go. Yeah, that sums that one up.
Yeah.
So, what were some of the artists like? You know, what was Garnet Mimms like?
Garnet Mimms was brilliant.
Absolutely
I think that was
brilliant.
probably the best tour we
What
did.
did you call him? Yellow shoes or
Yeah,
something?
Mr. Yellow Shoe.
Why
No,
was
he had
that?
a yellow coat, not yellow
Yeah,
shoe.
but he had yellow
He had
shoes.
yellow
to match.
shoes to
and he used to
match,
put
yeah.
his socks over his shoes to protect them. Which
He was a
I thought
gentleman though, wasn't he? He was a really nice
He
guy.
was.
He was a true professional.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Smashing bloke.
But,
True professional.
He used to take the mick out of us for drinking beer because he said in 2 or 3 hours' time your beer's going to be flat, but he'd only drink scotch, and he said in 2 or 3 years' time this will improve. So, but he
He's
was
a right
brilliant,
nice guy.
really nice guy.
Yeah.
Mind you, he lost our new Shaw Unisphere mic, didn't he? Was that him?
No, it's Clyde
Clyde
Mcphater.
Oh, it was Clyde Mcphater, was it? Ah.
What did he? What happened there then?
The man was a hypochondriac.
Yes. There's tell of a suitcase, but also just to explain who Clyde Mcphater was for people that don't know.
Well, he was the original singer with the Drifters. He was the main man.
Yeah.
But when we toured with him, he used to carry a huge suitcase with him, and he'd get into the dressing room and command the biggest area and get all his potions and pills and I mean, he had to take them all, stuff for his eyes, stuff for his nose, others that went in his ears, and loads of tablets.
I thought they were suppositories.
Well, they might have been.
He probably missed
The way he sung, they probably were, but maybe he was ill because he's actually died, hasn't he?
But
So
Garnet was an absolute
yeah.
gentleman.
He was the real
true
McCoy.
professional.
It wasn't until recently that I was told a story because Clem Curtis, who we'll come on to, because I believe we weren't paid for a couple of the gigs we did. So you told me this
Well,
story.
yeah, he went to visit Clyde Mcphater about the missing wages, and Clyde Mcphater ended up in hospital for what I can make of it. But we got paid.
What do you mean? Some sort of injury occurred?
Well, I think he must have tripped over something.
A
And,
threat of some sort.
well, I don't know as it was a threat. I know he definitely got his head stuck down the toilet at one
He
stage.
did push his head down the toilet.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. But the money was there forthwith, so there you go.
I told you there'd be nothing controversial.
No.
Yeah, no, just the usual stuff, isn't it? You know, man doesn't pay another man.
Yeah.
Man gets beaten up and gets his head flushed down the toilet. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But,
I think I probably prefer a punch, to be honest, than having my head shoved down the toilet and flushed. But hey ho. All right, we'll be back with you guys in a bit, and well, in a few minutes, I'm just going to play a couple more tunes. Thank you to the Village Green. Right, what we're playing? Yes, this is Kinvassi, and the track's called "That's the Bag I'm In." It's a blue-eyed soul, I suppose you call this, but he's a guy that interestingly sang on several albums for the likes of Elvis Presley and Frank Zappa, but obviously not at the same time. There you go, that's Annette Poindexter there, and that's a pretty cheap 45 to pick up. A few quid, that one. But pretty funky, and slight warble on her voice, but she's pretty good. Me likey. All right, we're back with Village Green, and there was a couple of things I wanted to talk about. One was the piano and the fire incident that we were talking about earlier. Because one, it's bonkers, but two, it's that you'd actually done it on a previous occasion. Was this a previous occasion many times, or just?
I think it was something they inherited from the band I was in previously, because we used to, our roadie Ben was a bit of a technician. We used to, as part of our act, I used to smash up television sets with sledgehammers and things, and he used to put pyrotechnics in old television sets and that and blow them up on stage, and that sort of carried on to when I joined the Village Green, and that was part of our act. We was doing you can carry on from this one, Higgy, if you like.
All right.
When we was doing the same sort of thing with a piano at the Sudbury Swimming Bars Gala.
My parents' pub piano was going begging.
You have to talk up there a bit, Tom.
My parents' piano from the pub was going begging, and we were doing
The
this.
Acton Crown.
We were doing
Don't
this.
advertise it now.
swimming
His
pool.
parents don't run it anymore.
So anyway, we put this piece of wood inside the piano, and you could buy explosives then, which was like weed killer, which was sodium chlorate, and if you mixed it with sugar, it really went up with a bang. So anyway, we didn't tell the piano player what we were going to do.
Dick Silvertoe.
Dick a shit.
We were going to play Great Balls of Fire as our
the
last
turd.
number at the swimming pool, and I'll let Higgy tell the rest of the story.
And this is an actual swimming pool we're talking about.
This is a
Still
real
with still with water.
Still with
in.
water, open air swimming pool. You see, Sudbury Town. We came from around Sudbury Town in Suffolk,
Yeah.
and the council asked us, could we do this big gig for them, and we told them our price, and they said, oh no, we can't do that, and we all said, oh, the hell with it, we'll do it for nothing then, for the locals. And we filled this piano up with the sodium chloride and sugar. Only when we used it on stage, we used to use maybe a teaspoonful of each and mix them, and a little flame would burst up. But this time we used 7 pounds of sugar and 7 pounds of weed killer.
Yeah, I mean, how do you go from a teaspoon to 7 pounds?
Well, it's rock and
We
roll.
wanted to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
And as we'll find out, quite literally, I'd have thought.
But in the middle of Great Balls of Fire, remembering that Dick Sillett, who was playing the piano, knew nothing about it, the roadie walked over with a torch and just stuffed in the top of this piano, and bang, up it went. And I mean, Alf's brother Kit was on stage a good 20 metres away, and he had no shirt on, and it actually skinned his back.
Wow.
And all the audience was sort of forced backwards by the heat, and they were all falling in the pool and stuff. And for weeks later, girls would come up to you in the street and say, "Look what you did to my coat," and they had big scorch marks down their coat. And I think we got a huge bill from Sudbury Council to refill the pool.
They never booked us again.
No.
How weird.
And the borough surveyor got in a panic.
Blackwell, Mr. Blackwell.
Councillor Blackwell.
Councillor Blackwell.
And he got the hose and he started spraying it over the amps. One of the boys got the amp and went and gave him.
Chinned him.
Chinned him.
Yeah.
But he had a
And
wooden leg.
he landed in the water and his leg was floating. Somebody else went along and chucked his hat in and said, "Don't get cold." Yeah, but they never booked us again.
No,
God
I
bless
can't.
him.
I can't understand
Best
that
night
at
they
all.
ever had in Sudbury as well. I just don't
on
get
the
it.
same night, me and Tom, you had my other trumpet, didn't you? We got on the top diving board and we did a fanfare, didn't we? And then jumped off of it.
Well, it was Cobwebs and Strange by The Who,
Cobwebs,
wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and we jumped off of it and then because one of the mouthpieces come out, you couldn't fucking go down there that time. Not to get it out.
That's black. Besides, there was a blazing piano in the other end. So,
There was a few of the locals trying to get the piano to push it in the pool, which would have absolutely been a bloody nightmare if it had gone in there.
Yeah.
It was black.
They did call the fire service, by the way. The fire service did turn up.
Yes.
And it did make the front pages of the Suffolk Free
We
Press. but-
also had complaints from as far away as Little Cornard about
Yeah.
the noise, you know.
Yeah.
Which
They
was-
say all
It's good 4
publicity
miles,
is good
5
publicity,
miles.
don't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, they had no more swimming pool dues after that.
No.
And John Sayers, the mayor at the time, was he?
Yes,
The guy
I think
who
he was, or
he
he
was
was about
running
to be.
the charity local Sudbury thing, wasn't he?
Mm.
And he said some people spoil it for others.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it.
That's rock and roll, baby, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's rock and roll, you're right.
We're definitely not forgotten in Sudbury.
No.
No.
We should have measured the sugar and the weed killer out a bit more.
Bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
how you
8.
get? I really don't understand how you get from a teaspoon to 7 pounds.
Well, I
But
think
you
there
know.
was 2 for 1 at Tesco's.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah. Don't mean to say you had to use it all, did it? Blimey. All right, I actually, you guys actually played on the same bill as the Tremolos, didn't you? And they were from Essex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
apparently so. And I did have a 45 of theirs to play, but unfortunately I've left it at home. So,
Oh, well.
Brian
I've got
Paul,
another
yeah.
story to tell about the Tremolos.
Go on, then.
About it.
yeah.
Is that the time we were playing with the Tremolos at the?
There was you
Sure, wasn't it?
you
no,
Colchester,
yeah,
you-
we played with them at Colchester.
in '68, I think
Yeah,
that
but we
was.
played with them at the Belfry. You know where they
Belfry, yeah.
do golf places?
Sutton Coalfield.
Oh,
Coalfield.
yeah, I do.
And
yeah.
and then when you did, Thomas was doing his usual antics, was doing something, and you fused to.
Oh no, that was the other gig. The Sutton Coalfield. Tom decided all the way up there. He said, "Ugh, "The Tremolos, they're a load of pansies." This was his little pet word at the time. It always got us into trouble.
Yeah, luckily this is radio, Tom. So
Yeah.
none of the 99% of Soho's fantastic pink gay community know what you look like.
Yes. we'll get a poster put up out the front here. But anyway, we got there, and nice guys. We were in the dressing room, and they're chatting away to us. But they had a roadie who must have been 30 stone. I mean, he was immense, and he was carrying huge Fender cabinets on his back and just dumping them on the stage. And when he came in to the dressing room, one of the Tremolos, I don't know which one, said, "Oh, when we're back home," he said, "2 of us get into one pair of his trousers." So Tom sat in the corner and said, "What way do you face?" But that's Tom.
It's quite bizarre.
Yes.
He's not happy about that one.
That's
He's
not
not,
PC.
no.
It's not PC.
It's not anymore, but in
We-
those days,
You
anything
played
went.
at the Belfry with Bonzo Doodah band.
No, the Bonzo Dog Doodah.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
They
yeah.
were
we did.
amazing, weren't they?
They were,
Bonzo Dog
Absolutely.
they were very good guys as well.
Yeah.
I thought you said they were really nice guys, and that was a
They
really
were.
good gig.
Well, the only one of them that didn't speak to us was Roger Ruskin Spear, who didn't speak to anybody. He used to come in with 2 big suitcases full of bits of Meccano and wire and a mouthful of Wrigley's chewing gum, and he used to make all these fantastic machines that blew bubbles and flashing eyes and
Yeah.
things. And he wouldn't say a word. He'd just do all that, take them on stage, and they'd do their thing, and then just take them back to the dressing room afterwards and disassemble them all, put them all back in his case and get in the van, go home. Never a word said all night.
How
They
bizarre.
used to come in and play classical music, didn't they? They had French horns and
Very,
that was
very
incredible. They
accomplished,
obviously accomplished
They're
musicians.
good musicians,
Yeah.
But like I think at the end of the night, the bass guitarist, because we'd finished playing, and the bars had closed, but he was going round, getting all the glasses with beer in and bringing them into the dressing room, weren't he? And we were drinking what was left out of the glasses. You know, times were hard in those days.
Obviously, yeah, yeah. But because didn't you have a van set up in London for a while that you were actually sleeping in
No,
after gigs? Where
the
was
van
that?
was our home.
No,
The truck was our home.
we slept in the van, back in the van when we were doing the gigs and on tour. But when we were up in London for about a month, wasn't it? When we was first with Clem and doing that sort of stuff, we used to sleep in the basement of the old disco
Disky record shop.
which was
Bayswater.
Westbourne Grove. Yeah,
Yeah, which was
very basic.
I was going to say the whole area would have been pretty
Yeah,
basic back
yeah.
then.
Had a toilet and a sink.
Yeah,
Yes.
the toilet.
Which one was it? They both the same thing,
Well,
weren't
they both had the same purpose, really.
The toilet got used more than the sink.
The toilet was horrendous. I don't
Yeah.
like to think about that even.
Yeah.
I just wish somebody had turned the water on, but there you go.
You've got to tell the story about Steve.
Steve, yeah.
Oh,
Steve,
come on, one of you.
we were living in real luxury, like we were sleeping on wooden benches and a sleeping bag, and Steve discovered this big Marshall speaker box,
It was nice.
which was more comfortable than sleeping on the wooden bench. So he used to get in this cardboard box and then put a blanket over the end of it. I think he started the cardboard box syndrome.
Yeah.
Go on.
But anyway,
No.
Keep going.
we
Oh,
ga-
no,
we
you
gang
can't do that.
we ganged up on
that's it.
we planned. Steve went to bed one night and we planned
What do you mean to bed? To cardboard
to
box?
cardboard
You
box
went-
one night.
Carl, I mean, you started the trend that's now a big thing all over London, to be fair.
So we thought if we could get the cardboard box upright, he couldn't get out because it's too tall. So we planned. When he got in the cardboard box, we stood it up. We carried him up the stairs, opened the front door onto the zebra crossing, and laid the cardboard box with him on it on the zebra crossing, and locked him out of the shop.
Yeah, all he had on was his underpants.
I couldn't get out the fucking box. Very embarrassing it was.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
You would've
Not
seen
as
us.
embarrassing as if you actually had got out of the box.
If I hadn't any pants on, it'd been worse.
He got out.
For the
all-
passers-by.
all he had on was a pair of underpants, and he's trying to get in the shop and banging on the door,
Yeah.
and we wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
They were
Good on you.
speedos as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Budgie smugglers were they?
You know, and the funny thing was, how old was you? 15, weren't you?
16.
16.
16.
Yeah.
And his mum used to phone up and say, "You make sure you're in bed at 10."
Yeah, right. Yeah. Not with them little blue pills I hear everyone was having around that sort of time round here. All right, you've been listening to the Village Green and DJ Deidre here on SohoRadioLondon.com. I'm going to play a couple of records, and I'm going to kick off with out of Miami. Actually, this is a band called Third Guitar, and this is their third 45 that was on the Rojack label. Weirdly enough, it's from 1969, which seems to be a running theme on this show. And this is a track called Down at the River. Here it comes. Anyway, yeah, it was sampled quite a lot a few years back. So there you go. Great tune. The Turtles. All right, so we're back. We're back with Village Green. live on Soho
It's the
RadioLondon.com.
biggest round of applause we
We've
ever
ever
got.
had.
It's the only one, isn't it? Yeah. So we were going to talk about Clem Curtis,
Yeah.
well-known soul singer
The Foundations.
from the
Maybe now that I
Foundations.
found you.
Yeah.
Started off, I mean, basically what happened was when Clem left for whatever reason the Foundations to start his own solo career, we auditioned for the job as his backing band.
Yeah.
Came up to London, we auditioned, got the job.
Over 60
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah, and
Really?
yeah, we did a sort of couple of gigs with him after a few practices and stuff, and then it all went sort of tits up basically. I think there was a lot of things going on with Clem and his agents and the Foundations and different things,
Right.
and we were sort of, you know,
Not getting paid.
we were
Right.
and we
Yeah.
basically, you know,
That's-
it just fell apart. Not necessarily our fault, but it was just something that was happening sort of, that was out of our control between Clem and his agents and the Foundations and whatever.
I dare say that at that time there was a quite, well, you know, obviously it doesn't change so much today, but of a lot of hustling, a lot of people, without, you know, internet communication and all that sort of stuff, there's a lot of people taking people for a ride.
Yeah.
Lot of money, grabbing people, lot of booking you, and you turn up, you don't get paid, or a lot of, you know, was there a lot of that sort of thing going on?
Basically, yeah. I mean, we were sitting waiting for something else to happen, and nothing seemed to be happening, and we couldn't sort of not do anything. So that's when we started doing the gigging again, back in these American artists coming over. We got the opportunity to do that, and so we just moved away and started basically doing that.
But then you did a Clem gig, he never bothered turning up.
Well, I'd say he never bothered. I'm not sure what happened. We were supposed to be playing with him in
Scarborough.
In Scarborough.
Yeah, scene 1, scene 2 in
Scene
Scarborough.
1, scene 2 in Scarborough.
Yeah.
And he never showed, but we basically did an act, and we supported. There was another band there as well, wasn't it?
Hungarian band, wasn't it?
No, Russian.
Russian band. Yeah.
Yeah,
Red Star.
Red Star.
Right.
They were the big Russian band at the time who were touring over here, and we played 2 gigs in Scarborough with this Russian band.
That's got to be a bit weird to have a big Russian band
Well,
over,
I mean,
and Clem Curtis.
I
and-
think I can now count in Russian because they kept going up the microphones and saying "et ket, et ket." So I take it that's 1 2 1 2. I still do it today at gigs. So I think it's 1 2. What else could it be?
Clem was a lovely guy to be involved with.
Oh,
yeah,
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 We don't hold anything.
No.
Clem at all. That's just.
It's just one of those things, the circumstances that didn't.
But then, you know,
didn't work out.
how did you get hold of anyone?
Sorry?
How did you get hold of anyone?
Well, yeah.
You know, what was it like? Did you have a phone in your little underground
Cardboard box?
in the
cardboard
cave, yeah.
box?
Did you
All
see?
boxes in those days.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And you
4
know,
pennies and press
4
button
pennies
A
and
or press button
A
B.
and
Yeah.
press button B.
and how did that work? Did it work?
You didn't have to pay 4 pennies. You could tap and dial a 0.
Right.
Tap the numbers and tap. So you didn't have to pay.
Tom,
at all.
I'm surprised you know new tricks.
I would have thought you were too busy trying to climb something to know these
No.
sort of.
And we used to shove a duster up. So when
What up,
people,
Tom?
No, up the call box.
Right.
So people put the money in
Yeah.
and press a button to get it back because they couldn't make it. And we used to get the duster out and get the money
So we can bring the agent up.
Yeah.
so we could find the agent.
He was the agent, wasn't he?
Oh, dear.
Absolute
Jesus.
hard work. Terrible.
Yeah. No, I can well imagine. You know, so was anyone doing a day job at the time, or
No,
was
good
this
heavens, no.
this was purely it?
No.
We're all full
But
time.
we were rehearsing a song down the cellar, weren't we? I think David Essex did in the end. One of Tony McCauley's songs.
Yeah, Tony McCauley came and listened to us when we were first auditioning with Clem, with the plan of cutting a record with Clem,
Yeah.
I guess. But because that all, you know, nothing actually.
Who was that guy from Manfred Mann as well? Who he came down?
Manfred Mann?
Mike Dialbo.
Mike Dalbo. Yeah. Well, he wrote "Build Me Up Buttercup,"
Oh,
Which,
yeah, of course.
which the
yeah.
Foundations went on to score a number 2 with, where of course Clem was the only one that had the number 1.
Right.
So, but yeah, I remember Tony McCauley came down and Clem there was a number that was on the Foundation's first album, which was Tomorrow, it was called, and Clem said, I'm thinking of dropping this from the set because it doesn't really go down too well.
Right.
And Tony Macaulay, who wrote the thing, said, oh, remind me how it goes. So we played a bit of it. And within about 3 minutes, he actually rewrote it there in this basement. And it still goes round in my head. And I swear, I'm going to get the lads in the current band to play it sometime because he just amazed me. I was probably the only musician there, though, so I mean, the others didn't take any notice.
You mean you were a player as opposed to just an owner of an instrument?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think the others owned them. They were still making the HP payments.
Oh, the things they say.
Oh,
charming, isn't it? I don't know.
But yeah, one day. So the current, I mean, 3 of us here are now with a band called 30 Quid.
Yes,
And
30 quid, of course.
That
yeah.
comes from, well, they tell me it was my idea in a pub when we formed about 3 years ago. But that comes from, doesn't matter where we played in the 60s, the agent would say, tomorrow night you're in Bristol at so-and-so, 30 quid. So that's where the name of the band comes.
Yeah.
Of course,
The band I'm in is Route 66, which
Yeah.
is obviously double 30 because we're twice as good.
Yeah, yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
There you
And
go.
who gets the extra 6 quid?
no, here's his pence.
You are still all gigging, you know. I mean, I know
Yeah.
30 quid and
Can't
Route
leave it
66 still gigging, you know, around the Suffolk area.
But Steve and I had a break of 38 years, and then we joined back up with Higgy, and he still hasn't improved.
No, I didn't have to be fair.
Well, what not to keep up to your guys' level is obviously that's
Well,
charming,
I mean,
isn't it?
I
Jesus.
was a lead guitarist. I moved on to keyboards for a few years, and then I thought I'd finished with it all. I was selling some gear off, believe it or not. And then they phoned me up and said, Hig, we're putting a band together. Will you come and sing? And yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And the only thing we haven't got is a bass player. Do you think you can play bass? And I don't know. I never tried. So
So
now
you've got bass this side, guitar the other,
Now they know you can.
and you're singing vocals as well, yeah?
well, yeah.
and it's all one-handed like that.
Well, all my years in music, I didn't realise that singing lead and playing the bass don't go together because you're fighting against
No, it's just
yourself all the
that's
time.
2 different guitars. You can't do that and sing.
Oh,
at the
is
same
that
time.
right? Oh, okay.
Well, a few of my
I've
mates
mastered
are out.
it. Well, I've more or less mastered it now.
A few of my mates are out with Mark King and Level 42 at the moment.
Well, yes. I mean,
so
the man's
if there ever
genius,
was
so
one that
he's-
could do
he's
that,
the boy.
He
He's
is the
the
boy.
kiddie. But yeah, but anyway, I think I've got the hang of it now.
Good. Right, let's play
David
some.
disagree.
We're going to play some psychedelic soul, and this is by a guy called Click, and Click Horning, in fact, and the track's called Rainmaker. This is from 1968, and I'd call this psychedelic folk funk. Here it comes. Yeah, really worked on the ending there, didn't he? That's Click and Rainmaker, and I do like that track, but I think he could have put a bit more effort in at the end there. I'm just sort of playing stuff that possibly doesn't really relate that much to what you guys were playing. Some of it's soulful, some of it's funky, some of it's folk, but just sort of what was going on around at the time in the late 60s. Obviously with all the clubs that were around, you know, it wasn't all just the sort of soul stuff, was it? There must have been
Oh no, there was
sort of a lot of folk stuff going on, and
yeah.
you know, I don't know, a lot of acoustic clubs, and I don't know. I mean, what was going on
I
around
think that's when
here
it
at the
kicked off,
time?
wasn't it, the sort of 60s folk with Bob Dylan, Bob Dylan, etc. You know, they all
Yeah.
sort of started playing. You know, folk clubs sort of jumped up everywhere, didn't they? With Janis Joplin and Judy Collins.
Yeah.
And all that. You know.
I mean, what sort of? I mean, were you even sort of involved in any of that stuff that was going on around here at
I
that
think
time?
all the stuff I mean, until I joined the Village Green band and Higgy and the others the same, we're playing in bands, playing all 60s covers of, you know, Kink, Stones and all that sort of stuff.
Right, so you were doing the
Yeah.
more sort of rockier
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
as
all
well.
that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
then sort of late 60s, when suddenly soul became the thing to be.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know.
Yeah, you go
we-
where the money is.
But yeah,
Or
we
isn't.
got in really early, didn't we? Locally, I mean, we were the first sort of band sort of in East Anglia, I would have thought, who really sort of went out playing soul music. You know, with sort of with the brass brass section.
We
Yeah.
done a full show, didn't we?
And,
Yeah,
we-
I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
were very early in our area playing that sort of music, and it was a big thing, you know.
And we were an all white band, weren't we, for a soul band?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
was, you know, quite
Unusual.
It was a bit unusual.
So it was a review then, basically, was it? Really?
Oh,
A review band, you know, like where you're just playing a lot of the covers of the current stuff that's going on.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
playing what the people
Yeah.
want.
Used to
See,
do one
Steve used
spot,
to,
Your
um,
first spot was all joined up, weren't it? All joined up numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, you did a full medley.
A full medley, yeah, no
45
brainer.
minutes.
Whereas now we have to stop after every number when we're gigging and work out what number we're going to do next and
No,
what key
you
it's
do,
in.
Iggy.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
good,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that gives me time to go and get a pint.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, just the one, was it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, just, you know, in general. I don't mean me per se. I mean,
Well,
you know.
I've seen you drink, Don.
Have you? Right.
Yeah.
Move on.
Nowadays we have to stop between numbers so that these old boys can take a leak.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Speak
should,
for yourself.
they should get themselves a colostomy bag, shouldn't they? By now? I mean, Jesus, you know, modern technology and all that. All right, I'm going to play another tune, and this one is psychedelic funk rock, I suppose. This is from 1969. This is an extremely rare 45. And there's some great trumpet on this one too. I think you'll find he's getting his lip trills together. This is on Polydor, and this is Simon Scott, and this is I'm the Universe, and here it comes. There you go. That's Simon Scott with I'm the Universe, and that was that's a 45 that took me many years to track down, but finally got a copy, and I'm proud to have it. Yeah, back with Village Green, and we were talking, just saying, we haven't touched on the Hatchets Club, have we? For those people that don't know what it is or where it was, where was that based? Because that was over west a bit,
Piccadilly,
wasn't it?
67 Piccadilly in Mayfair. And I think we were all interested in the place because when we got in there, the dressing room was like a corridor.
Yeah.
And then the corridor was the place where all the bunny girls went through to serve all the drinks.
Sounds
You know,
awful.
it made
Yeah.
us, just so lovely it was,
Yeah.
A cold night as well.
Yeah.
And but like we were there at the time, and there was Gene Pitney was there. We were back in Garnet Mimms at the time.
Yeah.
Gene Pitney was there. Walker Brothers.
Yeah.
If everybody can remember the Walker
Oh
Brothers.
God, yeah, I should have
And
thought
it was
so.
Jimmy James, or was it?
Jimmy James and the Vagabonds.
Arthur Brown was
Arthur
there.
Brown.
Right.
All right, so it was quite a celebrity place. Most of the celebrities.
Like
were
the
there.
celebs used to go there, didn't they? To
Yeah.
drink
Yeah.
and watch.
And that's
So
Jim.
we had a good night there. We
Yeah, they
we
were
did
in the
a
audience.
we did a session of a Village Green session, and then Garnet Mimms come on,
Right.
and we did that as well. And I think we'd already done the whiskey beforehand, or did we go back to the whiskey?
No, it was a double header, wasn't
It
it?
was a double header. Yeah.
So that was quite a usual thing at the time, because I know I was reading about let me go back to my notes. Oh, Georgie Fame, when he was doing the Pink Flamingo. That was a few years before you guys started doing it. But him saying that the usual thing was, he might be up at Mildenhall, up in Norfolk, and then the whole band would drive back and do the late session back at the Flamingo. There was a 1 o'clock and a 4:30 set, and then they closed at 6.
That's right.
I mean, is that just the power of amphetamine, or were people back there just found it easier just to stay up late?
We couldn't afford amphetamine then.
I think on those tours we
We
were.
used to have Aspros and Coke.
What's an Aspro?
Pro Plus.
Pro Plus, yeah, right.
Yeah, when we were doing those tours, we were doing a lot of double headers, weren't we?
Yeah,
Lots,
I mean,
yeah.
A lot of
that
nights. we were
must have
playing.
been pretty bloody
And they weren't-
tiring.
I mean, we did have roadies, which was a help. So we used to have two of us with it, humping our stuff backwards and forwards out
Yeah.
after the gigs into the vans and things. But it was still hard work, wasn't it? Going for
Yeah, one in
and that-
Liverpool
and
and
they
the next
wasn't-
one in Nottingham. It was,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
No,
just
we done Nelson in Lancashire.
we did Nelson
The
in Lancashire.
Imperial.
all the way
Then
to-
had to go on to Nottingham and do
Nottingham, that's right,
an
yeah.
all-nighter at the beach.
I mean,
can't
that's just absolutely bonkers,
Yeah.
isn't it?
we? And
Yeah.
this Roy Tempers once wanted us to do a triple.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, and was this someone that you actually did get paid for in the end, or did
we
you?
used
We
to
got
give
paid
it
for
paid
it.
paid for the day, didn't we?
We used to get paid daily. We did get most of our money, to be fair.
Yeah.
When we played at the Hatchets, he said that we were a top London band.
Is that the time that on his way out he walked out?
And I believed him when he tried to walk out through the locker.
Yeah.
And what he paid is just about paid for the diesel.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, it was that bad, was it?
Terrible.
Yeah.
But what about the Hatchets Club itself? Was that a pretty cool place
That was
to hang out?
Yeah, that was
what I remember.
Was that sort of slightly upmarket, or was
Very
upmarket.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was the best place we'd
Hatchets
ever played.
Playground.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let us off the stage.
Luckily,
or
we'd had a shower that day, which.
Yeah,
Was that in the police station or was that elsewhere?
Oh no, the police station. We was in Melton Mowbray.
Oh yeah.
Because we were sleeping in the back of the van. It was so bad. I used to have to sleep on the speaker cabinets on the near side back of the van with the bass player, who had very smelly feet.
Yeah.
That's Red.
Yeah.
Hello, Red. If you're
Hello, Red. Are you
Unfortunately, couldn't be here tonight in this small enclosed space.
But anyway,
He's got his feet soaking.
Washing his socks.
we used to make him put plastic bags on his feet. before
Oh
he went
my
to bed.
God, that bad?
So we'd all wake up in the morning in the back of this truck all smelly, and we'd go to a local swimming pool to have a shower or go for a swim. We couldn't find one in Melton Mowbray, so we asked this police sergeant, where can we go and have a wash and brush up? He said, go down the local Nick and tell them that Sergeant such and such sent you, and they'll let you have a wash and brush up in the cells. Well, we did, and and for me, that was the first experience of ever being in a police cell, but I'm not sure about some of you others here.
Oh yeah, right, nice.
Best bathroom we ever had.
No comment.
I actually didn't go because I'm never going in a cell unless I'm forced to.
Yeah.
I certainly won't go in voluntarily. But yeah,
Blimey. It was all go.
it was.
Oh, here comes Soho Skank. Yeah, ready to do his show. It'll be about 10 minutes and I'll be out of here. You are, of course, listening to DJ Deidre here live on SohoRadioLondon.com with the Village Green Band. It's been fantastic talking to them about the late 60s and the Soho area and what it was like to be in a band in those days, travelling around the country. Not quite as easy as you'd think, I'd have thought, in actual
It
fact.
was rough.
We had a great time though.
But, it was a constant laugh.
I suppose, you know, like anything when you're in your early 20s or your late teens, you can cope with anything, can't you?
You can, but I mean, we hadn't got a lot of money, but then we're backing these big artists and we need some more equipment. And we went out and bought the big microphone at the time was the Shaw Unisphere, which is, by modern standards, a load of crap. But there you go. We went and bought one.
Is it really?
Went to
Liverpool
we
of
went
all
to
places.
Liverpool.
Oh,
Yeah.
You
At
got
the
to that one.
Victoriana, I think, is the one at the top of the hill.
And the Mardi Gras.
And the Mardi Gras, yeah. So we went to the Victoriana with
Clyde Mcphater.
Clyde Mcphater.
Oh, yeah.
And he was singing a line and getting the rest of the audience to sing a line, and then he was holding the microphone down to him, and eventually one of the audience took the microphone, and it was being passed round, and everybody in the audience was singing a line. It was brilliant, and suddenly it all went quiet. We pulled the cable back in. There's no mic on the
Somebody
end of
nicked
it.
even worse than that, when we came out, somebody nicked our truck.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, they hadn't nicked it. They just basically got in the cab and rolled it down the bottom of the hill.
Oh, is this the lads?
Yeah.
yeah.
They said, can we mind your truck
They
for
were
you,
supposed to be
mister?
looking after a van, but they got in the cab and rolled it down the bottom of the hill, and that was down the bottom of the hill at the traffic lights.
In the middle of a junction.
Yeah, in the middle of a junction with the cab traffic all over the place.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I had a mate, they did that too down in Liverpool. They said, can we watch your car for you? And he said, I don't need you to. I've got a dog in there. He said, is he good with a fire extinguisher? There you go.
Brilliant. All right, okay, I'm going to play another number. And this is some funky big band, I suppose I've called it cheekiness. This is from the Bob Thiel or Thiel Emergency. This is from 1969 again. And the album's called Head Start. It's on the Flying Dutchman label. And it's got a hell of a lineup. Likes of Buddy Childers on trumpet, Pete Chrisley on the tenor, Jimmy Gordon on the drums. It's an absolute corker. That's coming up now. 1 second. Get it all lined up. Boom. There you go. Well, take that. That's Awesome. Anything on the Flying Dutchman label, as a general rule, is not shit, and that is no exception. I love that tune. Really, really good. Great playing. When you look into the lineup, it really is absolutely superb. So be sure to check that one out if you like that sort of thing, which I do. Big band funky jazz. Can't go wrong with that. Right, we're getting towards the end of the show. I want to thank all the guys from the Village Green Band for coming down and talking to us about, well, just 60s Soho and what it's like to be in a band. Any sort of, last minute stories that you can't possibly not tell me before you go?
Wow.
There's plenty, but none that we could actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want gratuitous sex, violence, or
Well,
drugs or
I
alcohol.
think we're just about finished then.
Yeah. Or just mild.
Well, talking of double header gigs, we did the Elbow Room and Mothers in Birmingham one night, and when we all tried to pile into the Elbow Room, I think we had about a 12-piece band that night, and they said, no, there's just not room, there's not room. So we had a discussion, and they decided to pay us to go away. So we only had to do one gig that night.
So there's no room, so therefore the band can't
there
come
wasn't
in.
room for the whole band, so we said we can't play without everybody, so they paid us to go away.
Wow, brilliant.
So we just did Mothers, but I was absolutely knackered. But I pulled this rather nice bird in Mothers.
Is this mild gratuitous
very
sex and
mild,
violence?
yeah.
This is Higgy talking, by the
And-
way.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
And she was absolutely gorgeous, and she'd got a flat nearby, and rather than sleep in the van, I'd been invited back to the flat, but I was so knackered I fell asleep, and a young chap over there, the baby of the band, went back to the flat with her instead of me. And
Ah.
had a decent night's kept.
She was lovely. She had a lovely pair of tits.
I'm not sure you're allowed to say that on live radio. But
On that note,
and on that bombshell. Okay, listen, guys. So we've got Bobby, we've got Tom, we've got Hickey, we've got Alf, we've got Pickles, and we've got Steve. Thanks ever so much. Really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you all, and I hope you've had a good afternoon. And we're going to go out with a belting funky 45. This is on King. This is Leon Austin and Steal Away, and this is another 45 that took me years to find a copy of, and I'm so glad that eventually I did. Here it comes. See you later. Yeah, that's the great Leon Austin, and you've been listening to DJ Deidre here live on Soho Radio, London.com. Vinyl only. Coming up now, it's Soho Skank. I'll be back on Wednesday, October 28th with another great show packed full to the brim with more weird, wacky and wonderful tunes that you've probably never heard of. So be sure to listen in and orally pleasure yourselves. See you next time. Cheers, bye.